What is up guys, and welcome back to Empty Pockets. I hope that you had an awesome weekend. So in this video we are going to look at the top 10 most valuable cards from Surging Sparks. So obviously it has been a few weeks since release and the market has had some time to settle. As such, some cards are still going pretty crazy, to be honest. But I thought this would be the perfect time to go ahead and look at what's happening in that singles market. So obviously this is a new channel, so any likes, comments, subscriptions would be greatly appreciated. There are a few videos up on the channel if you want to go ahead and check them out. So booster boxes for this set are still going for around $200 in the US. And here in the UK, you can still pick them up on the Pokemon Centre for £145. I do still have some booster boxes here to open up. If you want to see that on the channel, do let me know down below. My pull rates have been absolutely terrible so far, to be honest. So it would be pretty funny to share that with you guys. So with that said, let's get into this top 10. So in at number 10, we do have a re-entry onto the list, and that is the ultra rare Pikachu EX. This did fall off the list with cards like the playable Gold Night Stretcher and Duran EX making moves in the market, but it has found its way back onto the list. So prices for this card are starting to rise slowly again, having started pre-release at around $35. It dipped to $21 on the low and is now climbing its way back up to around the $31 mark. In the UK pre-release, prices were sitting at an average of £42. It then dipped to a low of £20, and we are now seeing average sales for around $29. At number 9, we have Jasmine's Gaze SIR. This is a pretty cool card and another that I would like to add to the graded collection, but in terms of pricing, it has certainly took a slump, going from $85 in the US all the way down to a low of $35, but it has now crept back up slightly to a market price of around $44. In the UK, it did start around £65, then sales dipped to as low as $15, but now solds have settled at an average of around £30. At number 8, we have one of my favourite cards from the set, and that is the Latios Illustration Rare. On release, we've seen this sit around $52 to then have lows of $36, but it has started to climb again pretty well, and market is sitting around $44. In the UK, it did start around £40, with lows going down to $21, but sales are averaging around the £33 mark. But if you look hard enough, deals on this card do pop up, and it's certainly a card that I am personally picking multiples of up. I do plan to get some graded, and I will keep some raw, as I feel that this card will definitely do well in the future. Let me know your opinion on that down below. At number 7, we have the Alolan Executor EX Special Illustration Rare, and if you like colourful, then this card will certainly deliver, but it's certainly not a card that I care too much for, but let me know if you like it down below. Anyway, this card had sales in the US pre-release for as much as $92, and ever since then it has just started to fall off and is now sitting at a new low market price of $50. In the UK, they were selling for around £85, with lows averaging around $32, and now we are seeing average sales at around £42. Moving on to number 6, we have one of the biggest trainer chases in the set, and that is Licia's Appeal, which boy oh boy has definitely took a massive dip since launch. Hopefully you didn't get caught up in this card pre-release, as sales were as high as $167 in the US, and it bottomed out at $60. It has now started to rise a little within the market, and you can now see it sitting nice and steady at around $65. In the UK, it was a similar tale, with early sales topping at £85. Lows maybe hit an average of around £33, but now for well-centred copies, sales are averaging around £50. I'm definitely a massive fan of this card, with the Altaria in the background and the colours just pop on it. I will be trying to get as many PSA 10 copies of this as possible, as I feel that this card will be a big hitter in the future. Let me know what you're thinking about it down below. So now into the top 5 cards. And at number 5, we have the Hydreigon EX SIR. And honestly, I'm not a massive fan of the Pokemon itself, but I absolutely love the artwork in this card. With the stained glass watercoloured style, this is definitely a card that is on my chase list. So let's talk pricing. In the US, this was sitting at around $120 on the high. It then dipped down to a low of $73, and it has now started to rise again, with a market price sitting steady at around $86. In the UK at launch, it was around £80, and now we are seeing listings and sales at an average of £55. This really is a wonderful card. If you have been lucky enough to pull one of these, let me know down below. At number 4, we have a card that seems to be on the up in the past few weeks, and that is the Melodic EX SIR. Let's be honest, this card is absolutely stunning. They definitely nailed the artwork here. And price wise, in the US, we've seen this sitting at around $99 to then dip down to $81, and it has now crept back up to a market price of around $92. In the UK, it started off at around £74, with lows sitting at £40, and we are now seeing listings and sales averaging at around £85. I would say that this card is definitely one to keep an eye on, and if I see any steals on this card, I will definitely be going ahead and picking them up. At number 3, we have the Gold Pikachu EX Hyper Rare, and this card has just continued to grow, and I'll be honest, it makes sense with how hard it is to actually pull this card. I even picked a few up on the low, as I just had a good feeling that when people realised how rare this is and how hard it is to actually pull it, that it would climb, and here we are. In the US, this card has went from $40 all the way up to a new market of $134. In the UK, however, pricing is absolutely all over the place for this card at present, with recent sales ranging from as low as £40, which is absolutely wild, to around the £90 mark. It now seems that most listings are averaging around the £85 mark for well-centred copies, so let me know if you have been lucky enough to snipe any of these on the low. So in at number 2, we have my favourite card from the set, and one that I have yet to pull yet, of course, and that is the Latias EX Illustration Rare. Unfortunately for me, this card is on the rise and going wild in the market at present, so let's hope that I can actually manage to pull this. In the US, it started at around $220, dropped to a low of $186, and it has now found its way back up to a market price and new high of $262. In the UK, the story is similar. We've seen starting prices of around £90, then lows of £50, which was absolute steals if you managed to pick any of them up, and we are now seeing average sales of around £145. The Latias and Latios cards in this set are must-haves for me. I definitely need them, obviously for my master set, but I would definitely love to have these both graded in a PSA 10 as well to keep in my graded set. So let's hope that I manage to pull this card, but the way things are going, it's not looking great. So now we have arrived at number 1, and it will be no surprise that the Pikachu EX SIR still holds on to this spot. This card just went wild from the very start, going from a low of $299 in the US all the way up to $556, but it has now taken a dip and the market is sitting at around $414. In the UK, it was around £175, and now you're looking at an average of £320 for well-centred copies, as people are obviously looking to get these done in a PSA 10, as the prices for those are absolutely crazy at present and showing no signs of slowing down. But obviously, they will slow down as more and more people get their PSA returns, so we'll have to keep an eye on that market. I've had no luck pulling it, so it doesn't really matter to me, honestly. So obviously, if you look hard enough in the UK, you can pick this card up, maybe copies that aren't perfectly centred, etc. for good prices, so I would definitely keep an eye on eBay and you might get lucky. So that pretty much rounds this video up. As I said, I do have lots of booster boxes sitting, so if you want to see them getting opened up on the channel, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I will just suffer the terrible pull rates on my own, but I'm pretty sure it would be nice if you guys suffered with me. So let me know if you want to see that on the channel. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, or leave a comment down below, as it really helps my videos in the algorithm as I look to grow this channel. In other news, my studio that I'm having built for the channel is nearly renovated, so I will be moving over to that probably within the next 2 weeks. So that will be awesome, and I look to make more content when that does happen. So as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and I will catch you on the next one.